Hello and welcome to Pitch Talk. We just made a video about our third top transfer of 2023. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. We talk about a really cool center back who is going to Bayern Munich. But wanted to address the big news that came out today is the farewell of a legendary goalkeeper. And I use that term. I know it's a very polarizing term, but we're gonna talk about one of the stats that he has that is absolutely insane and why he's a legend. And that is David De Gea leaving Manchester United under some very um, difficult circumstances. I think that's the right word choice there. And I don't pretend to know the entire situation. I certainly don't have sources and knowledge on the ins and outs, but it's the end of an era. And for Manchester United fans, David De Gea is one of the, if not, with Phil Jones leaving, right? He is the last title-winning player at Manchester United. Correct me, chat can correct me if I'm wrong. From my understanding, he is the last person to win a title at Manchester United, and unfortunately, Manchester United has done this routinely. They've done this with Van Persie. They've done this with Petrus Evra. They've done this with Rio Ferdinand, with Wayne Rooney, with several players. We do not always do a great job of sending out our legends. And David De Gea won the Golden Glove this season, won a trophy for the team for the club this year. And while we're going to get a ton of stick in the comments and whatnot about the Carabao Cup, uh, if you look at a rebuild, you look at like the Liverpool rebuild, you look at the Chelsea rebuild several years ago, because there's certainly they're in a weird situation now, but they certainly had to rebuild when it was Manchester United and Chelsea, like what the 05s, 06s, going back and forth for the title and whatnot. Those were some crazy years. Some of my favorite teams in the Premier League. I mean, Robben, Didier Drogba, Claude Makelele, Michael Essien. I mean, I absolutely loved some of those teams and some of those players. But sticking to the goalkeeper, uh, we we are saying goodbye to a legend. I really love the message that David De Gea put out. Very classy message. If you haven't seen it, it is online all over Twitter. Very classy message, thanking the club for everything. And David De Gea came in. Transitioning a goalkeeper is very hard at the big teams. The big teams have lots of pressure. For years, right? Manchester went through a cycle of goalkeepers. I mean, I remember the Schmeichel days. I was a big fan. I'm actually a bigger fan of Van der Sar, who, God bless, our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. If you haven't heard, he is in the ICU. Van der Sar, an incredible servant to the United fan base and to the club, and phenomenal both on the field and off the field. Very good general manager as well. Did a lot of great work for Ajax. So we wish him well. But the transitions when some of these bigger goalkeepers leave can be very hard. I mean, we look at the situation with Howard coming in. I remember the situation with Barthez, Habibi. I mean, there's been Kusiak. There's been several goalkeepers, and it's very hard to go from an elite level. And David De Gea is elite. And I'm going to get into this argument with you guys because this is one of those arguments that I will stand on a hill for. I will die on the sword on this, and maybe I'm wrong on it, but I truly believe David De Gea is one of the best goalkeepers in the world still. And despite his limitations, what a goalkeeper's job is, David does it at an exceptionally high level. But before we get into that, the reported news is as follows. So David De Gea leaving the club. He is a free agent. He is no longer employed, and he will be looking at several offers according to some of the rumors and papers out there. Two of them which have come out is Saudi Arabia, big money. They have, invested in goalkeepers recently with Mendy going out there. So bringing in a David De Gea certainly is on the cards for them. But also Juventus have been rumored as a possible destination. The Old Lady, nicknamed the Old Lady, could be a very good spot for David De Gea. The Italian game a little bit slower. I They do like to play. They do like to keep the ball on the ground and distribute. So David is definitely going to have to get better with his feet, and he has. He has made improvement. If you have watched Manchester United this season, you can see the improvement with his distribution. Now, when I say improvement, some of you guys are going to say, Kevin, he's still not the final product. Of course not. Of course not. And he's nowhere near the Allisons, the Edersons of the world, the Onanas, which we're going to talk about because that may be the next goalkeeper. Actually, it's going to be the next goalkeeper. But there has been improvement, and that's really good to see out of a 30-plus-year-old goalkeeper, which is not old at all for goalkeepers. You still see some improvement. Now, here's where I'm going to break it down. When we talk legendary goalkeepers in the Premier League, there's one name that stands. I know the English are going to go the David James and the Siemens. Very overrated. Sorry, my fellow Brits, but very overrated goalkeepers. I mean, mistakes. The Joe Harts, mistake after mistake after mistake. It's unbelievable. And I mean, I think we've seen more highlights of crazy goals. I mean, I think of the Ronaldo Portsmouth goal against David James. The man doesn't even move. I don't blame him, though. I don't think any goalkeeper would have moved. And then I'll always remember that Ronaldinho free kick against Seaman and Joe Hart. Where do you even begin? I mean, geez, so many. And no disrespect to those players. I think they were very good goalkeepers. But when we're talking about the elite goalkeepers of the Premier League, okay, my mind goes to the Van der Sars, the Schmeichels, and it goes to, I think maybe number one, it might go to Peter Cech. And let's just put some data and some numbers for some of you analytical folks. Peter Cech has the most clean sheets with 202, with number two, David De Gea at 190. Okay. Winner twice of the Golden Glove. Okay. Let's just, I've got him right here. 545 games in the Premier League. I mean, this man has played his fair share. There's not many goalkeepers that can play that long at that high level. I'm sorry, but that is impressive within itself. 190 clean sheets, putting him number two overall. Okay. Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, Europa League winner, twice Carabao, 3 Community Shields, 2 Golden Gloves, 4 Matt Busby Player of the Years, okay, and 4 regular players Player of the Year. There were years at United where this was the best player. The goalkeeper was the best player at Manchester United. Now, we can get into that argument, and that's a very incredible thing. It's also a very sad thing when you think of a club as the magnitude of Manchester United. I mean, I'm sorry, but in the last 20 years, the best player at Barcelona, at Real Madrid, at PSG, at Chelsea, at any big club, Arsenal, has not been the goalkeeper. Maybe in the top 3, sure, I'll give us that. There were legendary goalkeepers that have played for some of those clubs. Victor Valdez, Edgar Casillas, right? Gigi Buffon. There's up-and-coming guys like Donnarumma. There's Peter Cech, right? But let's keep it real, folks. They had players for days, right? The Thierry Henrys of the world, the Iniestas, the Xavi, the Ronaldos, the Rauls. Come on, let's not put goalkeepers as the main players. But for Manchester United, they have been. Now, here's where the argument lies. So soccer is a constantly evolving sport, just like anything else. Soccer is it's very fluid. It's just like life. And one of the arguments now that's coming is the possession of the ball. Soccer is now all about possession of the ball, and that's a very popular style that people are adopting, and it's a winning style. So there's nothing wrong with that. It makes sense. If you have a goalkeeper who can keep possession of the ball on the ground, who's very comfortable at distributing from the back. I mean, you think of you think of center backs, like high-level center backs, Van Dijk. He has 5 assists every year. I mean, as a center back, we've never asked center backs 10 years ago. Center backs were not playmakers. Now, center backs are distributing the ball. You look at Martinez, excellent distributor of the ball, right? You look at guys like Varane, especially in the previous years at Madrid, excellent distributors of the ball. Center backs have to distribute now. It's just like wing backs. Wing backs, if you have a wing back like Gary Neville who doesn't attack or doesn't attack as fluidly, it's a problem. We look at this with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Wing backs are dual-sided players, okay? And the top ones contribute just as much offensively as they do defensively. You look at Hakimi, Alphonso Davies, right? You look at guys like Luke Shaw. You look at, I mean, the list goes on. There's so many. Marcelo back in the day. There's so many good ones. They attack. But sticking to the goalkeepers, so with that, the possession and the attacking from the back has come a new style of goalkeepers. The keepers that are very comfortable in the ball. The top 3 that come to mind, right, in the years that we've been watching this is Ederson, Alisson, and Neuer, right? And there's been others, right? There's Van der Sar definitely started that trend of playing out of the back. He was very comfortable with his feet. Maybe didn't start it, but definitely in the Premier League was one of the top playmakers. And we have others, right? We have David Rea. We've got other goalkeepers that are doing this. Now, the issue that I have here is the goalkeeper's main role is to do what? The goalkeeper's main role is to keep the ball out of the net, right? That's his responsibility, okay? Now, a center back, chief responsibility, right, is to stop the ball going down the middle, right? Whether he needs to be aerially competent, he needs to be on the ground competent, good tackler, right? We call this in consulting, which is the line of work that I'm in, your SOW, your scope of work, right? What is your narrow focus? What is your main responsibility that needs to be accomplished, right, on this particular project? Or in this case, in your job, in your role, okay? And you have your SOW, and then of course, naturally, there are things that come outside of your scope of work that you do that are just part of the job, right? For a goalkeeper, okay, they're trying to stop goals. And I don't have a stat on this. If anybody can find me a stat on this, it's not going to be possible because there's just no data. There's no metric. But if you had to find a stat that gave us how many points David De Gea has saved for Manchester United, saved. I'm talking like 2 points, for getting a win, that extra point for getting a draw. The critical saves that man has made, and critical saves, there is a metric for that, but points, there isn't. There are very few goalkeepers that would be ahead of David De Gea. David De Gea has saved more incredible shots and goals than most goalkeepers do in a lifetime. He's done it in the last probably 7 years, right? Half of his career. David De Gea stops the impossible. So the goals that are supposed to be goals, he denies them. There are so many to go through. The one that stands out, the one that I love so much, is the Juan Mata free kick against David De Gea. If you haven't seen this, YouTube this, okay? You have never seen Alisson or Ederson make a save like this. I think the only other goalkeeper that has had a bigger career is Neuer. I think Neuer is probably and obviously, I'm not including the legends of goalkeeping, okay? There are statuses to this. And to me, the legends, the GGs of the world, you don't touch the GGs of the world. They're at a level where the rest of us, we just admire and say, that man understands goalkeeping, okay? And nobody criticizes Gigi for not playing well with his feet, right? Does anybody go up against Casillas for not being exceptionally well at his feet? Although Casillas was I would argue better at his feet than Gigi. But do we Yashvin, the old legendary goalkeeper, do we criticize? No, we don't. We don't, because they did their jobs incredibly well. They commanded their box. They were incredible goalkeepers, okay? And I have that same argument with David De Gea. David De Gea is an old school goalkeeper. He saves and makes incredible moments, okay? Now, is that not to say that is he the best goalkeeper? No, he's not the best goalkeeper. But to not include David De Gea in the top goalkeepers in the Premier League is fallacy. Now, personally, I think he's number one because he saves you points. He gets Manchester United 3 points. He has for the last several years. Um, but we won't be having this argument anytime soon because any longer anytime soon. Doesn't even speak English because we have a new goalkeeper coming. So I've said my piece on David De Gea. I would like to personally thank David De Gea for everything that he's done for Manchester United. I find him an incredible character, never in the newspaper, just strong character. Had weaknesses, very weak coming out on crosses, but 1v1s. I mean, the off saves, all those foot saves, the 19 saves against Arsenal game. I mean, sorry, man is a legend. Thank you, David, for everything you have done. Now, I firmly believe that the number one goalkeeper in the Premier League, this will Liverpool fans won't be too harsh on me. I do think is Alisson. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. But if I need a guy, if I need a penalty saver, I'm taking Alisson. But if I need a one-on-one guy at any point to save a goal, I'm taking David De Gea. If I need a distributor, I'm taking Alisson. If I need a leader, I'm probably taking Alisson as well. But if I need a guy to stop a free kick or some crazy goal, it is David De Gea every day of the week. Thank you, sir, for what you've done for us. Okay, moving on. Moving on. What does that mean for the goalkeeping situation at Manchester United? Well, I'll tell you guys. The goalkeeping situation at Manchester United is going to be Onana. Now, for all the haters of David De Gea, just think about this logic from Manchester United and Ten Hag. This is why United fans absolutely love Ten Hag. Most United fans, okay, have been very critical of David De Gea. There are several like myself who just defend him to the T, aka Mark Goldbridge. Thanks for what all you do on the United Stand. Fantastic show. Defended him, and rightfully so. I kind of side with Mark on this. The disrespect has been pretty blatant on David De Gea. But if you are realistic, okay, the time has come. Goalkeepers are evolving. In 10 years, this won't be a conversation, folks. In 10 years, every goalkeeper will play with their feet. And then the beautiful thing is you will want the guy who can do what De Gea does and plays with his feet. And we will get guys like that, guys. The only reason David De Gea isn't considered by all parties the best is because he can't do one very small aspect to his game. Everything else, he's more than competent at. Okay? That is insane. That is absolutely insane. And it's a secondary responsibility. But yet this won't be an argument because we are bringing in the Champions League player Onana from Inter Milan. Okay? 27-year-old Cameroonian goalkeeper, no longer plays internationally. The Africans have always been African players have always been a little bit looked down upon in the Premier League because they typically had to leave for the African Cup of Nations in January, which is that's a whole nother topic about the disrespect of African players in the Premier League. That's another topic because I'm sorry, all you Yaya Toure fans, you know what I'm talking about. That is a legendary, phenomenal player. And he was disrespected incredibly. And there are countless others. I mean, we could do a whole nother video on this. But sticking to the topic at hand, you're replacing him with the Champions League goalkeeper, who, by the way, not only outshined his opponent, okay, was instrumental in Inter getting there. So you're talking, if you are going to make a move for a goalkeeper, hell, folks, that's the guy you want. 27, still has years, knows Ten Hag, knows the system, which is really good. He's not going to come in there and not understand what to do. Oh, no, he knows. And he knows Ten Hag, and he's going to help. Licha, and Varane are going to love this man. Love this man. I mean, Leach already knows him, but so it's just a friend coming over. It's just playing with your homie. So that's great. But they are going to love the way he moves the ball and the command. That's what I love. The command. You know, he is a field general. And I like as a coach, I've always liked my goalkeepers to be field generals. Always. I just think there's something. It's the only player on the field that his field of vision stays consistent the entire game. And so it's very similar to a coach. The coach sees the game from the same point of view the whole game, right? We have to be in that box. And so it's the only player on the field. That's the only player. Everybody else changes, right? The center backs are putting different, they're isolated on the wings, they're pushing up high, they're playing a high line, they're playing a back four, back three, it's the only position. And so I love that he does that. And guys, everyone is talking about his distribution. Do you think Onana is a bad shot stopper? Whoa. Newsflash, guys. Onana is a phenomenal shot stopper. And here we're going to go on YouTube. Go on YouTube. Look at his shot stopping ability. Okay. He is incredibly strong, very strong. You look at his saves. Who I'm not sure who he reminds me of, but he's a very strong goalkeeper. And in the way he saves, he pushes the ball back out. He's not soft. He's very good on crosses. So this is going to be a change, but you're going to hear it here first. There will be a learning curve. What's that? I love the goalkeeper, Kevin. I love De Gea. Yeah, I've said all these positive things, right? Thank you, David De Gea. You've been fantastic. Legend of the club. I'm excited as hell for for Onana. But I will say this: like every goalkeeper, we saw it with all of them, with all of them, and not just at United, at any team. You can talk about Chesney, right? You can talk about Jan Sommer recently at Bayern Munich. There will be a learning curve, folks. It's natural. It is natural. But at the goalkeeping position, there's going to be a bomb. We've certainly seen bombs from David De Gea. It's part of the game. You will see bombs from Onana. And if they happen in the first 3 games, the newspapers, the tabloids, the Twitters, they will run on it. Okay? Not to worry. Keepers take time. They take time. They develop, and experience is the number one thing of a goalkeeper. I don't, all the physical attributes, all the, all the leadership, that's great. But for me, I just want experience, right? I want a guy who's seen it, who's done it, who's played in finals. And Onana has that experience, but he's going to take it to that next level. In fact, I would go so far to say that within a year to maybe 2 years, we are going to be talking about possibly Onana being better than Allison and Ederson. And watch this channel. In 2 years, we will be talking about Onana potentially being better. And I don't know the answer. I really don't have the answer right now. I think if I had to pick the best goalkeeper in the world, I think I would stick with Allison right now. But do not sleep. Do not sleep. Another goalkeeper that doesn't necessarily use his feet, Oblak. I mean, he does. When people say don't distribute, if a goalkeeper just rotates the ball off and can keep it clean, that's not what this new goalkeeping trend is. They want to see those cut through passes. Allison had like 3 assists this season. Literally boots it off. Mohamed Salah runs it in. I mean, I just like ridiculous stuff. They want to see the Ederson, right? Same thing, boots it off. Kyle Walker cross, Holland goal. But guys, that is such a small fraction of the game. It's really laughable to me that we're on this. But here we are. So we're going to welcome Onana at Manchester United. There will be some errors. We thank you, David, legend of the club. But just wanted to put that into perspective for you guys. I think a lot of you guys will disagree, and that's okay. This is one of those that I'm just going to fall on the sword on. I see the game maybe as an old school for the goalkeeping position. I do understand. I was very much when Barcelona were doing it, when Real Madrid were doing it, really kind of changing the way fullbacks play. I was totally on board with that, and I thought doing isolations up in the final third, the wingers becoming inverted strikers, right? I'm totally on board for these new trends. I think that's the evolution of the game. I'm not quite sure what the next evolution of the game is. I probably think it's going to come. I think we're going to see a resurgence in like offensive playmakers, number 10s. The number 10 has kind of died, right? The legendary Ozils they've kind of died a little bit. There's a few out there, but they're kind of dying. I may see that as an upcoming trend, but we'll see. We'll see the CDM trend. I remember that one with Vieira. Oh man, Makaleli, that development, and the French really pushed that CDM evolution. They saw that trend way early on with a lot of guys. But anyway, Michael Essien, what a phenomenal player. Busquets, Jesus. Anyway, that ends the stream. Wanted to talk about David De Gea, and yeah, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe. We are trying to grow this channel. We're also making sure that we're learning some of the how to make these videos better and whatnot. So yeah, my light just died actually. So we need to fix that. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. And thank you, David De Gea. Glory, glory, Man United.